record. All right. So first off, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you guys taking the time and reading the emails that we send out. We only send out a couple. So I understand you all want to be the host of the World Series of Comedy, and that means a lot to me. My job now is to talk you out of it. Explain to you all the work that's involved, all how it works, how everything kind of goes, and then I'm going to, like I said, I'll give you the opportunity to, if it's still something you want to hear more, we'll take some questions, and then we'll. At the end of this, what I told everybody in the first meeting today was, if you're still interested after hearing everything that I have to say, then I would like you to email me and tell me you're still interested, and we'll try to work it out. So the job is, hosting's the fun part. You all want to jump on stage and host the show and announce the comics and do all that. That's the easy part. I can have a list of people who want to do that a mile and a half long. The job really is, you have to have a good car, a solid, good car that you're willing to drive all over the country. That's going to make it all over the country. You have to sometimes time your drive to be at the airport to pick me up when I land, because I get motion sickness, and sometimes I fly in early and I want to get to the condo or whatever to sleep before the show. But we always work that out. That's not really part of the job, but I mean, we try to work it out. You have to be willing to drive all over the place. You have to haul all the stuff that we need. One of the things that's in your car is a carry cart that Tom invented, and then we have a couple crates. Every year I try to cut it down, but then I add other signs or other things. We are signing a new sponsor this year, which is really cool, and they're going to give us some new signage, and depending on what signage they give us, we might be taking a bigger kind of crate for a step and repeat. I'm trying to get them to buy an easier sign for us to put up at the satellites, but it's a little bit bigger to haul around. We could make a smaller one to haul around, but then it's more work at the satellite to put it together. So we can try to do
recording program.
What is that? All right. Oh, Starla, you went from one to the other.
Yeah.
Got it. I could easily sidetrack.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. So that's the job. I mean, the pay's not great. It's okay, but it's not great. You're gonna get, the cool thing about it is you're gonna get to go to 12 to 15 major comedy clubs all around the country. You're gonna get up in front of all of them. If you do it right and do this job the right way, you should be networking your ass off at every one of these places and getting to know the club owners. And I do everything I can to try to put my host on the same level as me and Jason, the VP. I try to get my host to give part of the meeting, and if anybody who's been to the main event or any of the satellites this year, you probably noticed David and Kevin were talking a lot about in the meetings. And I do that purpose because I want them to get credibility for who they are and what they do. They do a lot of work, and I want them to be respected and treated in the same way. And I try to do the same thing for them at the satellites too, when they're around the industry and things like that, and try to get them to do that. Performing wise, I'm not too worried about anybody. I mean, sometimes some of the comics that might be too new or not ready at that point, but I feel I've been doing comedy myself. For anybody who doesn't know me, I've been doing it close to 30 years. I had my own show in Vegas and I headlined a show in Vegas for 10 years. I feel like I can, and I've ran this festival for 15 years, I think it is now. I'm not too worried. I can train you to be a good World Series of Comedy host. I can, anybody who's willing to learn and wants to figure that stuff out, they can definitely learn from me that way. And then depending on how many hosts we have, I mean, there's going to be at least 2 at the satellites, but I still might end up hiring 3 because we've got a couple other things going on. You would get to host the shows, and whoever's not hosting that night would take pictures and do stuff around, like kind of be the stage manager and things like that of the show and snap some pictures. And then they usually get to go up and close the show for 7 to 10 minutes, depending on how much time we need to fill for a check drop. So that's always cool. And it's not always guaranteed. There's sometimes a headliner will stop in, a past winner, or the club goes, hey, this local's here, can they go up? And I have to do what they want. But I'm always pushing and trying to get my host more stage time. That's the best pay I can give you. And that's why anybody would want to do it. Nobody started the comedy business going, man, I hope I can drive a bunch of shit around the country. And nobody wants to do that. But other than that, I mean, that's what it really comes down to. This is the closest I've ever had of the schedule almost being done this early. Our first date is in February. I live in Pittsburgh. Somewhere along the line, whoever gets hired is going to need to come to Pittsburgh and stay at my house or whatever. And I'll probably try to book us a gig somewhere close by if I can. If not, then they're just going to cruise here, pick up the stuff, and drive it to Vegas. You don't have to drive everyone, depending on the host I get. David drove everywhere last year. So I was like, Kevin, you can fly. But then Kevin's like, well, I'm going to drive everywhere. And I'm like, why don't you guys cross paths and share a car? But they never listened to me, and I don't apparently know what I'm talking about. So they just both drove everywhere, even though I kept telling them. One was in Indiana and one was in Omaha. And I'm like, you guys are driving past each other. Just get in the car. Leave a car at IHOP or something. I don't know. Leave it somewhere. Find a nice place. Leave one of the cars. Save some gas. They didn't do it. It was nice at the satellites. We had 2 cars, but it wasn't practical, in my opinion. I think they should have worked harder to get it. If I find a host that says, yeah, I'll drive everywhere, then the other host that doesn't necessarily have to drive anywhere at all. They can fly in if they want. But that's not totally fair to the other hosts all the time, and I'd like to see the hosts share the responsibilities that way. David my past host, is going to come to Vegas this year and be there all week for the first week to help train the 2 hosts that I get. With setting up the cameras and the mics and all that kind of stuff. He's pretty much going to just help set up that stuff, and then he really won't be doing much else. He might be closing some of the shows. That's how I'm paying him off to come help get that help, get my host trained for the year. So after that, then that stuff would stay with whoever's driving. And if one host happens to live on the east and one's on the west, then we can try to coordinate all that, where somebody might have the stuff in their car for a little bit, and vice versa, whatever we can work out travel that way. Many times the hosts have to share a room with the other hosts. That's not always the case. It may not be as much of the case this year because Jason, as of right now, Jason's not planning on coming to most of the satellites. He's going to stay in Vancouver. For those of you who don't know who Jason is, he's the VP of the World Series of Comedy. He's been my right-hand man for the last, I think, 6 years. He's helped me grow this thing tremendous, and he's just a big part of the festival. He is going to stay in Vancouver to work on our WSOC Records label that we just started a year ago. It's kind of grown. I just got our first check from Sirius today, which was pretty cool. Yeah, I've been waiting on that. It wasn't huge, but it was pretty cool. I was excited. That means that other comics are going to get a check too, and that excites me more than me getting a check. Is them getting a check. I think that's fun. I say there's not a lot of money to be paid, but there is a lot. There's a lot of money that's left on the table. We just had a meeting with somebody today about jumping on board to start helping us with ticketing. We probably leave about $4,000 in tickets at each satellite that's not sold. So anybody who wants to help with that, there's also sponsorship money and lots of other things that can be done that way. So if you have, maybe you hang up from this meeting and you go, you know what, I don't want to drive all over the place. I don't want to be part of this, but you think you can help with some other part, get a hold of me. We're always looking for help. My hosts in the past have taken care of social media, emails, videos, all kind of stuff. I usually don't have both my hosts quit at the same year. This is kind of unusual for me to start a whole new year with all new hosts. I'm trying to separate the jobs out, but I still will need some help from the host. I just talked to a guy today who is going to jump on, and he's going to do all the video editing for us, all the comics video editing. But I'll still need somebody who's going to do emailing and somebody who's going to do other jobs. There's other things that I could use help with, and anybody who's creative with emails would be just wonderful, because our emails get pretty boring after a while. After 14 years, it's just like 5 days left. Sign up. I guess that's kind of it. I'll open up the questions here in a second, but if this feels like it's not for you, let me know, and I won't be upset if you leave it. If you want to hang for the whole thing and listen to everything, you're more than welcome to do so. But if driving around the country and you have a full-time job, maybe you can't. I definitely don't want anybody quitting their job to do this. It's not, it's not profitable. So you can let me know that, and I won't be upset at all. Any questions about anything?
Yeah.
Yes, Sandra?
First, what are the dimensions approximately of the
I can't hear you.
Well, that's because that one. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I'll just talk louder. My mic isn't plugged in. My husband's been playing with my computer. Anyway, what are the dimensions about of the largest item so we would know if our car could handle it?
That's hard. I don't know the dimensions necessarily. David has, I'm trying to think what kind of car David has. It's not a big car. He's got a nice sized trunk. We're able to get everything in the trunk and in the back seat. Usually when he's got all the stuff in the car, if he has to unload it before he can, all about the 2 or 3 of us can get in the car to go other places. Like he might have room in the passenger seat, but that's it. The back seat's full. So I think anybody who has if you got a super compact little car, I think you gave me a ride to the airport once, Sandra, in your car. I think it would probably be fine.
Yeah, well, it's got the top that fills the trunk, so as long as the top's up, it's pretty long. Yeah.
Oh, that's right. You had a convertible.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you got plenty of room. Just leave that top down. You can stick it all hanging out.
Yeah, just have it right out of the roof.
Well, that part is easy, yeah. Okay, and my second question, though, is have you decided on 2 or 3?
I didn't hear that part.
Have you decided whether you're going to do 2 or 3 hosts?
I haven't decided. I'm still trying to see who's interested. And then from there, I mean, if I come down to 2 candidates, then that's probably all I'm going to have this year. If I happen to come down to 4 that I really like, then I may try to figure out how to have 4. I don't think it's fair if I have one host that's driving all the stuff around, I don't think it's necessarily fair to that host to have somebody else just show up and not know how to do the jobs, because then those jobs kind of fall heavy on that one other host. And like with David and Kevin, once they both knew all the jobs, I don't really assign job. I'm not like, I just want it done. We have a list of everything that has to get done at the satellites, and David always came in and set up the microphones, the audio, and Kevin came in and set up cameras. And they kind of just always did that. But I would always say, do you know how to set up the audio? And Kevin's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, as long as you know each job. We started this year, we're right now we have scheduled 10 satellites, and we have 3 WSOC recording shows. And I'm hoping if I can get somebody to possibly take my spot at some of these satellites, I may not go to every satellite, and that way I could schedule more of the WSOC recording shows. My goal, I'd like to see 6 of those. Those shows are going to be set up kind of like a regular show where I would be the headliner. Jason and I would pick one of our past winners or somebody to feature. And then we would have 12 guest spots of comics who have registered for the festival that we would pick through their scores and things like that. And there would be 2 guest spots each night. And our goal from those shows would be to get 2 CDs out of them. One, a full-length CD from the feature act, and one compilation CD from the guest sets. And whoever was hosting those would probably end up being on the compilation disc also. So you could, and throughout the year, you may end up with 5 tracks on different albums.
So you're
That's the
talking
goal. Right now,
about,
we have 3 of those scheduled, so I may end up with just a host. If I just have 2 hosts, then one host would have to come to those recording shows, and those are I think those are going to be more fun than satellite, because it's more like a regular show. If I end up with 3, I may just hire somebody to do the recording shows and 2 other people to do the satellites. So I haven't made that decision. It really comes down to these 2 meetings that I'm having here. I'm recording these. I'm going to send these recordings out to a couple other comics that have asked me for them. Then I'm going to wait for a couple emails back from you guys, and then I'll kind of whittle it down and see who I can use and be part of it. So, are there any other questions?
Joe, can you describe, like, would the hosts help with like the planning, or, you know, getting speakers for the seminars and things like that? Or is that kind of what you and Jason take care of?
That's what I do, is I line up all the speakers for the seminars, and I kind of say to Jason, this is who's coming, but he doesn't get too involved in that. But he has also said, I know somebody, or I have an idea. And I'm very open to anyone. I mean, you don't even have to be a host to suggest an idea to me, or you gave me a great idea at the main event this year, and I didn't get to do it, but it's something that I want to put into the works next year somehow with you, or as you being part of it, or help me organize it or something. Val had come up to me and asked if I ever had a like an end of festival, like what do you do once you get, because some of you came out to the main event and some of you didn't, and some of you have been to the satellites before. The satellites, if you think the satellites are mind-blowing on what you get, the main event is through the roof. There's 150 comics, seminars every day. It's just crazy how much you're bombarded with information and booking, and just it's at the end of the week, I'm still unwinding from this. Every day I get up and I'm like, oh, I didn't get enough work done today, but I'm still like decompressing from it. Val's idea was for us to have a, like, what do you do with this information you got now? What do you do next? What, you know, so because everybody leaves these things going, oh man, I'm going to write more. I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then a week later, you're like, and then all of a sudden you fall back in the same rut. So I think that was a great idea. And I loved what you sent me Yeah, so I mean, I think my host will probably have somewhat maybe more pull with helping me or causing me to do something because they're with me a lot. We're hand in hand talking. I mean, I talk to my host a lot. We try to have, I like to have a weekly meeting where we talk about everything that's happening and coming up and answer any questions they have leading up to the satellites. Once we're going to satellites, we don't really have a weekly meeting because we're together for a week. And so we end up going back to the condo or wherever and bullshitting for 2 hours about how the shows went or stuff we should add. And I love David and Kevin. They're great hosts, and I'm excited for them to move on and find other things. I'm also very excited about having some new blood and new thoughts into this festival. I've been doing it for 14 years. I was just thinking today how I'm going to send out an email to the 8,000 comics that I have and go, hey, if you have a t-shirt idea that you'd like to see printed, let me know, because I'm tired of designing t-shirts for the top 40. Kevin did them last year. And if anybody has a cool idea for one of the cities we're going to, that would be fun. Yeah. What's that, Brian? You have an idea, or you're muted?
Yeah, we were getting
I have-
feedback, so
I have my t-shirts hanging behind me.
Oh, I didn't notice.
There they are.
Oh shit! It says I'm running out of time.
Well,
yeah,
real
you
quick,
get an hour free.
real quick question, Joe. You have talked about if you do expand beyond 2 hosts, you talked about possibly making them regional. Is that, I imagine that's still on the table, but can you talk about that a little more?
Can I add
Yeah.
something really quickly too? There's a really good trick you can do, Joe. If you run out of time, you can leave the meeting and restart the same meeting, and it restarts the clock for you. So
For me, like I just leave and you guys all stay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
we all stay and we'll still be here.
All right, cool. Let's do that if it gets close. I don't want to keep anybody too long, but I can talk forever about this shit. I'm open to the regional thing. My main thing is I want it to be fair. I don't want to end up with one comic feeling like they're doing more of the work by driving around. I mean, there's going to be somebody who's like, I don't care. Like, no matter what I said, David was like, I'm good. I'm getting in the car. I'm going. So, as long as I feel like it's fair and I can work it out, that might be what I end up doing. Regional would probably be good because, like, I look at some of you guys I know are in California, and I'm like, well, that's insane for you to drive to Pittsburgh to pick the shit up and then drive back. That's just crazy. I mean, I would have did it when I started 30 years ago, but that's still dumb. Like, so hopefully I can, if I end up picking one of you guys in California, hopefully I can also pick somebody up in Indiana or over this way, and they could come get it, and you drive halfway and or go to get the stuff to Vegas, and then the person that's on the West Coast can pick it up. And the problem is the equipment I have has to get to each place. I can't buy 3 sets of it. So, and we jump, in March, we're in Last Unlimited Sacramento, then Wisconsin, then Kentucky. That's March. I try to put them close together, but I also am at the mercy of the clubs and what they'll do. Picking dates. Every year I set the calendar and I pick this wonderful, beautiful calendar, and then I send the dates out to the bookers, the clubs, and they're like, no, this one, and I'm like, it's not even close. And
Yeah,
then
that would be tough.
April we're in Atlanta, and then the Sarasota McCurdy's were there for 2 weeks, so that's an easy April. I mean, we're 2 places, but we're there for 3 weeks. And we're in May, we're in Fort Wayne and Texas. So we're in Indiana, then Texas.
Yeah, I
Other
think
club
I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes.
Great. So I guess this was something I was very interested in because I do have a full-time job. I am a head of a family of 6. So I realize that the idea that I would drive to all the places is absolutely off the table for me. But when I did look, it was just like, okay, I can be in Indiana, I can be in Kansas City, I can be in Plano, Texas, and I can be in Phoenix. So like, that's a pretty wide swath. I mean, that's roughly 14 hours in any direction from where I live. And I'm curious if breaking it up in that way is not, I mean, if that's on the table, then I think that I get to send you an email. But I think that if we're not breaking up regionally, I think I could probably just go ahead and thank you for the meeting.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm not sure if that's, I don't know. I love that idea. I don't know if it's possible. So what I would say is, you know, we're probably close to being done unless people have more questions, something like that, we can call it. What I would say is send me an email and tell me what you can do, like you just did there. And then who knows, I might get an email from 2 other people and I can look at it and go, well, this is perfect. There's one guy who wants to drive everything around and 2 people that want to do these ones and these ones. And that it could easily work out that way. And I believe the more people I could get involved, the better this festival will be. So it's just a matter of training everybody over again. But if you're ready to come in and work hard at the ones you're at, then you know that could work. I mean, I'm not saying no to any of it. I'm open to all of it. Like I said, it really depends on who I get. You're all here, but I don't think I'll get emails from all of them, and I'm okay with that. When you hang up from this call, you may be like, "This is crazy. I don't want to do this." And when you hang up, you might be excited and say, "Well, I would love to do 3 of them if I can." So that's what I'd like you to do now. Is take the time and send me an email if you want to be involved, and I'll try to look at it and see if I can't figure out a way. And if you have any other skills or specialties that you'd like to do or add, or if there's anything you want to learn, if you're thinking about putting together your own show, your festival, and you think, man, if I could work with Joe and learn the email game or learn something from us, let me know. We'll maybe get you involved that way, and we can teach you how to do our emails, and you can learn the whole system and take it and use it for yourself for something else.
Nice.
Yeah. Hey, Joe.
All I want is comics to grow and get better and have fun. So
Yeah. Hey, Joe, one quick one before we go. So what's the selection process going to be like? Like, are we doing interviews or, like what comes next?
Yeah, once I get these emails, I'll look at it and then I'll figure out who I think I can work with and who I think can do this. And then I'll probably cut it down to, some people that way. And I'll give you an email, let you know what, where and why. And then I'll do another video call with people individually. My main thing is to let you understand what it entails. So I don't have to say this over and over and over again. And then once that point and you go, yeah, I know what it entails, I still want to do it, then I'll look at who wants to do it, see what I think works. I mean, if I happen to get an email from somebody who says, hey, I'm willing to drive everywhere and I think they're super funny and they do a good job, then they might get it.
Oh, you have to be funny now, Joe? That was not on you.
Well, I'll look past it for you, Rand, but other than that.
You're so kind.
I think so. Yeah, I'll do some kind of interview thing. If I don't do that, you'll at least get an email from me saying that I don't know if it's a good fit this year or whatever. But please, I look at a lot of my hosts I end up getting are through volunteers for the festival. People who have come out and volunteered, and I see how they work and how they kind of just do things without being told and see something and take care of it, So that's all important, but I don't know. Any other questions?
If it goes over $600, I assume it's a 1099 situation, right?
Yeah, don't worry about that.
That's what I was thinking. $5.99. That's the most you're ever gonna.
The pay, I'll tell you, I don't care. The pay is $500 a satellite. That's not a lot. It's not much, and I raised it $100 this year. So,
Oh,
yeah.
nice.
So it's $500 per satellite, plus you get your lodging for free. Everything else is on you.
Well, and the pleasure of being around Joe Lowers more than you can imagine.
Yeah, everything else is on you, but there's ways to make other money. There's ticketing. We get 50 to 100 tickets for every satellite that need to be sold. We sell about 30 of them. So there's a lot of money that's left on the table. Other ways to do things, other ways to generate money. There's so much money with this festival that's just not used because I don't have the staff or the way to get it done.
Mhm.
So there's tons of commission jobs.
30-second commercial on the carry cart.
Huh? What's that?
I can do a 30-second commercial on the carry cart.
Correct. Yeah. You want to sponsor? We'll put that carry card on every video screen.
Hey, Joe, how long have your hosts typically stuck with you?
Stick with me. Is that what-
What's the average tenure of your hosts?
2 to 3 years. I think Kevin was like a year and a half, but I didn't expect Kevin to stay a long time because he's got a lot of other things going. But he's also let me know that he would stay long, do some other stuff if I needed.